Hold up, Falcons fans! We need to talk about something that's brewing behind the scenes, something that could absolutely shift the entire trajectory of this season. You know that feeling when you can sense something massive is about to happen? That's where we are right now. I've got information that connects multiple moving pieces in ways you haven't even considered yet. This isn't just about what's happening on the field. This is about the front office making bold decisions. This is about the organization finally saying enough is enough with certain situations. By the end of this video, you're going to understand why the next few weeks are literally make or break for this franchise. And trust me, the decisions being made right now, they're going to echo through the rest of the season. But here's the thing, what I'm about to reveal could change everything you think you know about this team's future. The moves, the strategy, the insider details, they're all coming up in the next few minutes. This is the kind of information that separates the true fans from the casual observers. So here's what you need to do right now. Smash that like button to show you're ready for this, subscribe to never miss the inside scoop on what's really happening with the Falcons, and turn on notifications so you're the first to know when we drop these game-changing breakdowns. This is your moment to join a community of fans who are always one step ahead. Don't get left behind, take action now and let's dive in. Here's where it gets interesting, folks. Kirk Cousins has been the centerpiece of this franchise for a reason. But lately, there's been this elephant in the room that nobody wants to talk about directly. The trade rumors. The speculation. The uncertainty swirling around his future in Atlanta. For the past 8 months, and I mean 8 months, fans have been asking the same question over and over. Is Kirk staying? Is he going? And nobody's had the guts to give a straight answer. But here's what I know. The Falcons organization is quietly evaluating every single option on the table. They're looking at the bigger picture, assessing what's working and what absolutely isn't. Now, here's where it gets spicy. The Cincinnati Bengals, one of the AFC powerhouses, were being floated as a potential landing spot for Cousins if Atlanta decided to make a move. But ESPN's Dan Graziano dropped something massive. The Bengals never even considered Kirk as a viable option. Not once. They looked at their quarterback situation, looked at what Cousins brings to the table, and said, nah, we're good. Think about that for a second. Why would a playoff contending team completely dismiss one of the NFL's most experienced and decorated quarterbacks? This tells us something crucial about perception, about what's actually working versus what people think is working. The Bengals clearly have their vision set in stone, and Cousins doesn't fit it. But here's the thing that matters for Falcons Nation. This doesn't settle anything for Atlanta. If anything, it creates more uncertainty. Because now we know Kirk's market just got smaller. And that changes the entire negotiation dynamic. Now let's talk about the absolute weakness that's been exposed on this roster. Receiver depth. I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. The Falcons receiving core has more holes than Swiss cheese right now. Yes, Drake London is out there doing his thing. Yes, Michael Penix Jr. has been absolutely electric under center, throwing with precision and poise. But here's the problem. When you're building an elite offense, you need options. You need multiple threats that defenses have to account for on every single play. Darnell Mooney has been battling injuries. Kyle Pitts and Bijan Robinson have been asked to do things outside their primary roles. And while they've answered the call when needed, that's not sustainable. That's not a recipe for a deep playoff run. That's a recipe for getting exposed against elite secondaries when it matters most. Enter the trade deadline conversation. The Falcons have been linked to several star receivers. We've heard whispers about Calvin Ridley, discussions about Tyreek Hill, before his injury derailed that possibility, and a bunch of other big names. But here's where it gets real interesting. There's a name that's been circulating quietly in league circles that makes so much more sense than any of those splashy moves. Jakobi Meyers. Now, I know what you're thinking. Who? But hear me out. This isn't some flashy, sexy trade that looks good on ESPN's ticker. This is a smart move. This is exactly the kind of under-the-radar acquisition that separates good front offices from great ones. Let me break down why Jakobi Meyers is absolutely perfect for this moment, for this team, and for what the Falcons are trying to build. The guy is a professional. Undrafted free agent who clawed his way to becoming one of the most reliable receivers in the entire NFL. For years in New England, where he learned the game the right way. Then he signed with the Raiders for 3 years and $33 million to be a centerpiece of their offense. Last season, career highs. 87 receptions. Over 1,000 receiving yards. The man showed up and did work. But here's where the story shifts dramatically. This season, the Raiders are tanking. 1 win and 4 losses heading into Week 6. Myers has caught 25 passes for 290 yards through 5 games, but listen, that's not on him. That's on the fact that he's been asked to be the WR1 for a quarterback in Geno Smith, who's having one of the most disastrous seasons of his career. Geno Smith cannot throw the ball accurately. He's making terrible decisions. He's holding the ball too long. And suddenly, Jakobi Meyers, one of the most consistent receivers in football, looks like he's struggling. But he's not struggling. He's starving for better quarterback play. Enter Michael Penix Jr. and the Atlanta Falcons. This is where the magic happens. Imagine Myers operating in the slot for this Falcons offense. An offense that's already brimming with playmakers. An offense that's starting to understand how to maximize the weapons around Penix. Myers becomes an instant safety valve. He's the guy Penix can trust on short routes, intermediate routes, or even when the primary receivers are covered. And here's the beautiful part. The asking price is reportedly just a 4th-round pick. A 4th-rounder. We're not talking about sacrificing future draft capital. We're not talking about devastating your rebuild. We're talking about a low-risk, high-reward gamble that could be absolutely transformative for this offense. But here's where we have to be real with each other. Not everything is sunshine and rainbows in this scenario. There are complications. There are reasons why this hasn't already happened. First of all, Myers is entering a contract year. He wanted a long-term extension with the Raiders. When they said no, he requested a trade. So the man is hungry. He wants to prove something. He wants to establish himself as a premier receiver in this league and get paid accordingly. Here's the problem for the Falcons. You've already got massive financial commitments staring you down. Kyle Pitts needs to get paid. Bijan Robinson needs to get paid. Drake London is already in the system. And now you're supposed to commit to a lucrative long-term extension for Myers on top of all that? That's the financial tightrope the front office has to walk. It's not impossible, but it requires smart asset management and creative cap work. It requires believing that this is the piece that pushes the Falcons from interesting team to legitimate Super Bowl contender. But here's what we cannot ignore. The window is now. Michael Penix Jr. is playing at an elite level. The defense is serviceable. The running game has options. Every single piece is starting to click together at the exact right moment. If Darnell Mooney misses any significant time with this hamstring injury, and these things have a way of lingering, the Falcons' receiver depth is going to get absolutely exposed. The Bills are on the schedule. The Chiefs are on the schedule. Teams with elite secondaries that will punish you for not having multiple receiving threats. This isn't about panic. This isn't about desperation. This is about recognizing opportunity and seizing it when it presents itself. Terry Fontenot built this roster for moments like this. Raheem Morris has gotten this team to buy in and play with identity and toughness. And Michael Penix Jr. has proven he can execute at the highest level. Now it's about taking one more step. One more piece. One more calculated risk that could unlock everything this franchise has been building toward. Jakobi Meyers might not be the flashy name that gets people hyped on Twitter. He might not make ESPN's headline scream blockbuster trade deadline move. But he's exactly the type of calculated, professional, hard-working addition that separates teams that make playoff runs from teams that win championships. This is the moment. This is the week where we find out if the Falcons front office is ready to go all in. What do you think, Falcons Nation? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Would you pull the trigger on this trade? Let's talk about it. Don't forget to like and subscribe because we're breaking down everything happening with this team all season long. The Falcons are close. Really close. and the next move could change everything. Go Falcons!